America, good evening. How are you? This is Ryan Derks. I have tonight for you a special event all night. I'm just going to be streaming to you for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, when I put this stuff together, I have so much stuff in my head. There's so many issues and topics and things in the news cycle that I want to talk to you about, and I get this list. And when you have your normal life and you have work and you have campaign stuff and this and everything, things just get messed. So I'm going tonight, and just what the title says. I am purging my YouTube queue. So I'm going to start off right from the top, no BS. First things first, I want you to go to ryanderks.com. If you like what this is happening, if you like what we're saying, if you agree with the things we're doing here, I need you to invest in this campaign. I can't win without you. I need your vote on August 4th during the primary. More on that later, but please go to ryanderks.com. If you donate at least $20, I will come install a yard sign, Derks for Congress, in your front yard. So, first ones first. You guys, first things, it's not even a debate anymore. There is cold, hard evidence that Barack Obama and his White House staff were spying illegally, treasonous almost, on Donald Trump, President-elect, and his staff. There's a lot more details to this, but Dan Bongino breaks it down so beautifully. And if you're still denying this, I don't know what's going on up here with you. Because what we have is we have 3 years of almost everyone but Obama, Vice President Biden and down, who went on all the cable news networks for 3 years saying, we have evidence of Russia collusion, Trump, Russia collusion. And the Mike Flynn lawsuit that has been dropped, that's about to get dropped, all of these new documents are being unsealed, and there are testimonies under oath of all of those same executives and White House officials who were all under oath back in 2017 saying, we don't have any evidence. No, we've had nothing that shows that Russia and Trump are working together. Check this out.
Was public enemy number one from the start. That's why this case is called Spygate and not Trumpgate. So Lee Smith, I teased this article yesterday, who's a terrific writer, has a great book about the whole Spygate fiasco. Lee Smith wrote a lengthy piece in Tablet Mag that is so worth your time. I have two. If you're interested this weekend in grabbing a cup of joe and spending 20 minutes in a really good piece, there's two of them. This one here by Lee Smith, How Russiagate Began with Obama's Iran Deal Domestic Spying Campaign. And there's one more I have in the show notes by Eli Lake, who, again, I don't share everything in common with politically, but did an amazing piece that's in my show notes in Commentary Magazine on the Flynn fiasco. I can assure you, you read these two pieces, the one on your screen, the Lee Smith piece and the Eli Lake piece, both in the show notes, you will be 100% informed on the Flynn case. They leave nothing out, and they're both devastating. Why is this particular piece, though, so critical? Folks, if you're a regular listener of my show, and you have been for the last couple of years, I told you I think episode 629, I'm sure audience archivist Judy will pick it out for us. It is in the 600s. We're now on episode 1257. I was living in a different house. That Mike Flynn, the case is called Spygate, not Trumpgate, because the Obama administration had been spying on their political opponents for a long time. Trump was a casualty, not the cause of this operation. And public enemy number one for Barack Obama was always Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn did a lot of things as an intelligence professional in the Obama administration. He was head of the DIA that really bothered Barack Obama. Lee Smith's piece encompasses basically all of them, and he writes just so wonderfully about it. Let me go to two takeaways. Remember what the headline is. Forget Lee's headline, it's a good one, but Dan Bongino headline. Why the heck did Barack Obama hate Mike Flynn so much? To spy on him repeatedly and frame him using his weaponized law enforcement apparatchiks. Let's go to takeaway number one. I'm going to read this paragraph because it's just so critical. Lee Smith tablet. Quote, influential senior officers like Generals David Petraeus and Stanley McChrystal credited Mike Flynn for collecting the intelligence that helped defeat al-Qaeda in Iraq in 2007. In 2012, he was named DIA chief. The next year, Flynn secured access for a team, pay attention here, Flynn secured access for a team of DIA analysts to scour through the documents that had been captured during the 2011 operation to kill Osama bin Laden. Okay. So now let's establish a couple facts for the liberals that have a tough time with this here. Facts, things that require an IQ above double digits. Obama's team, it's a fact. Obama was the president. They ordered the killing of bin Laden. That's just indisputable fact. How it got there, the politics of it, we're just doing facts. After the raid and the killing of bin Laden, a treasure trove of documents were found. In those documents was some rather disturbing material. Some rather disturbing material that Mike Flynn found extra disturbing. So as DIA chief, he ordered the Defense Intelligence Agency there to go through those documents, and he tasked a team with doing it. Why would Obama be angry about that? It was the result of a raid he ordered. Joe, fair question, right? If it's a treasure trove, what's Obama's problem? Obama should be out celebrating this. We got bin Laden. I'm the commander-in-chief. Not only we get bin Laden, we got a treasure trove of valuable intel to prevent future attacks. This is great. But it wasn't great. Obama didn't like that. He didn't want anybody probing through those documents. Why? Oh, this gets good. Back to Lee Smith's piece. Quote, the bin Laden database was unorganized, said a former senior DIA official. There'd been very little work on it. Really? There'd been very little work on it since it was first captured. The CIA had done machine word searches to identify immediate threats, but they didn't study it for future trends or any strategic insight. Flynn, General Flynn, arranged for a team from U.S. Central Command based in Tampa, Florida, to come up to Washington. The subject of their investigation was a potentially sensitive one. We were looking for ties between Al-Qaeda and Iran. Oh, you were, says Michael Pregen, a former Army intel officer who was working on the bin Laden documents as a contractor. Quote, we're arguing with everyone, NSA, whoever else, telling them what we wanted, and they kept saying, there's nothing there. We already went through it. The CIA and others were looking for immediate threats. Well, we said, we're DIA. We're all source analysts, and we want everything to get a full picture. This is everything. General Michael Flynn, American patriot and hero, was an opponent of this Iran deal from the start, which was going to be Obama's signature foreign policy achievement to reorganize the Middle East and the locus of power away from Israel and Saudi Arabia and back to Shia Iran. That was Obama's goal. You can argue about his motives all day. That's not the subject of this direct inquiry here. We're doing the facts. Obama wanted the Iran deal. He wanted to reorder the Middle East. He wanted to move the locus of power away from Israel and Saudi Arabia. Again, argue about his motives all day. Flynn knew this was potentially extremely dangerous for the national security of the United States to engage in any kind of a relationship with a regime whose motto is death to America. He opposes the Iran deal. Obama orders the hit on bin Laden. We hit bin Laden. We get these documents. Apparently, from what I'm hearing, in these documents are some extremely suspicious ties between Al-Qaeda and Iran. A connection, if exposed to Mike Flynn's DIA team, that would have done what?
I just want to pause this for 1 second. My grandma's watching. Hey, Grandma. See you soon.
Would have absolutely decimated any hope that the Iran deal was going to come to fruition, because then the terrorists that they really are would have been fully exposed by a connection to Al-Qaeda that the Obama administration couldn't explain away. Mike Flynn was asking questions. Mike Flynn was seeking answers nobody wanted the answer to in the Obama administration. Nobody. So they fired him. And then when Mike Flynn came out and all of a sudden became a supporter of Donald Trump out on the campaign trail, and there was some talk he could be a VP candidate, remember that talk?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Mike Flynn became an existential threat to Barack Obama's signature foreign policy achievement, the dreadful Iran deal. Mike Flynn was public enemy number one from the start. That's why this case is called Spygate and not Trumpgate.
Okay, do you get it? So people have been asking me about this Mike Flynn. I don't really get it. All I remember is Joy Behar a couple of years ago shouting on The View that Mike Flynn is under arrest or something. Michael Flynn was the top guy of intelligence for the United States military during Obama's second term. He knows everything, all of that dark money, secret, Pentagon, military operations, whatever. He knows. He knows exactly what happened. He knows that Obama approved a Swiss bank account releasing hundreds of billions of dollars to a couple billion, to Iran. Just, if you remember, he did them all, like how many, like 20 payments of 99,999,999 and so on, so that it wouldn't trigger the international suspicious watch. Mike Flynn knows what's going on here. Mike Flynn did not approve of it at all. And then Mike Flynn goes to Trump to help Trump and was actually appointed head of intelligence consulting for Trump's new campaign as he was president-elect and president after he was sworn in. And this thing went full steam to lambast and torpedo Mike Flynn so that he could not undo what Obama had just done. Now consider this for a minute. What's happened in the last 3 years? This Mike Flynn thing is finally coming unraveled. Well, Mike Flynn has been completely sealed. His lips have not opened at all, and that's exactly what they wanted. They don't want him. They've been trying to figure out how to get him out, and they've done a good job of it. But what we're finding right now, and this is where it came back, and I've got the next video, we'll go into it more. What we're finding in this Michael Flynn case is so dark and so twisted and so evil that you cannot believe that any red-blooded American would ever pull this stuff off. So, without further ado, let me go to Steven Crowder. Obamagate. The Spygate, Obamagate, they're almost one and the same, not entirely, but let me have Steve Crowder explain it. He's really good with this.
Every single new development because it gets at play. That being said, go. So let's just give you what you need to know so you understand the corruption at play. That being said, you don't need to always know every single new development because it gets to the...
And just so you know, Cindy, hey, nice to see you. Thanks for commenting. If you guys want, I'm live streaming and watching this right now on Facebook. So comment anything, any questions, and I'll interact with you down here if you want.
Point where you're so granular, it's hard to understand the scope of it. Here's the scope of it. An outgoing administration spied and used the FBI as a political arm to try and get a man in jail.
Which should scare the hell out of most everybody.
It should scare the hell out of most everybody. Let me give you a little more info now. The Justice Department, so they obviously, they dropped the charges against Michael Flynn, and now the attention is turned to how Barack Obama, the outgoing administration, how they sort of unfairly, or some people allege illegally targeted Trump's administration. So, of course, you have people on the left in the media, basically everyone outside of here and some radio shows, reporting on this. The whole thing, like I said, the whole umbrella, which is a real disservice to Americans as a conspiracy theory.
It's so disappointing to look at what we're seeing from right-wing media these days, where there's such an obsession
He's so bad
with
they have
the
to put
deep
other
state
news people
and
behind
these
him.
revelations about the Russia probe.
Trust us, there's more. Real people keep watching, please.
They're treating the Michael Flynn story like it's a bigger
Don't you
deal
wish
than
you
the
were
deaths
watching
of 2,000
Poppy Harlow right now?
When the president called into Fox and Friends the other morning, Friday morning, right before the unemployment rate numbers came out, he talked about the Flynn case for 20 minutes.
Those happy days are here again with a brand new conspiracy that Trump and Fox News are calling Obamagate.
Some terrible things happened, and it should never be allowed to happen in our country again. And you'll be seeing what's going on over the coming weeks. But I wish you'd write honestly about it, but unfortunately, you choose not to do so.
We'll see what happens. You'll see what it is. It's coming out in the next few weeks. You know what it is.
Hey, time out right here. This is Mika from Morning Joe. Have you seen what the president is tweeting right now about Mika and Joe Scarborough? So these two hate him. They are on him all the time. It's an open secret. Joe Scarborough, if you didn't know, it was right around the year 2000, 2001, right in there. Joe was a U.S. House of Representatives from Florida. He had this young, pretty secretary or legislative assistant who was found dead under his desk with blunt force trauma to the head. The cold case shut, no leads, no suspects, no foul play. She tripped, she fell, she hit her head, she died. You guys, I'm telling you, watch this. Trump knows something. He knows something. He is tweeting, go to his Twitter today. He is tweeting some paragraphs about Joe Scarborough and really putting him on blast for the whole nation to see. Don't be surprised if that case gets reopened.
I don't. Can you tell us?
I can't, actually. Obamagate is a phrase that
I don't know what you're talking about.
Seems to have no meaning except to tag his predecessor with some very nebulous scandal.
So let's go through this. Since they're so puzzled, let's kind of lay out the timeline. The Obama-era FBI, right? They were out to get Flynn from the beginning.
Yep.
They listened to his phone calls while he was on vacation, which would later be used in really what amounts to a perjury trap. The goal was getting Flynn to be fired or to be imprisoned. So Bill Priestap, who's a doctor, boss is Stroke.
Yeah.
I
was about to say, how do you pronounce that? Stryzik.
I don't know. That's why I don't trust him.
If anybody's a Russian agent, it's him.
The notes read, "What is our goal? Truth/admission to get him to lie so we can prosecute or get him fired?" ? Now I understand that's been shared out of context, and they've tried to counter-argue that. So let's go on down the list. The FBI, they were moving to close the investigation early 2017 because they didn't find anything, and then Pete Strzok interviewed some people. He intervened actually to make sure the operation continued with the FBI. So they were going, there's nothing here, we're going to close it. Then he personally stepped in and said, no, we're going to make sure that we find something. So really, what did it amount to? That's kind of the, hopefully, people understand that timeline?
Basically
tapping
what
calls,
we have, yes.
what they were doing with Flynn, and it amounted to what? Okay, 2 lies. That he didn't actually ask the Russian ambassador to refrain, to not respond to sanctions that were being imposed by Barack Obama. And then he said that he only asked how Russia would vote on a resolution that involved Israel, but apparently he actually asked them to vote against or delay the resolution.
Very important in Spygate, Obamagate. You do not find a suspect. You don't just open a case and look for a crime. You see a crime, and then you try to find who committed the crime. This entire Obamagate was they found Trump, they did full carte blanche U.S. intelligence, let him have it all, and let's find a crime. That is completely reverse. It is completely in the face of everything that Western culture, our entire judicial system has set up since the British and the French tried hashing this out. I'm no judge, I'm no lawyer, but it's damn near treason.
Solution, which, by the way, is not entirely outside the realm of his job. Let's keep going down the list. This is so boring. I'm sorry. Agents didn't even think that if you think, you think maybe Flynn was lying.
Right.
Agents didn't think Flynn was lying.
Nope.
In 2017, Comey testified, the interviewing agents, that Flynn had not made intentional misstatements, right? That they had concluded these guys testified. Comey, anytime he shows up, people just go, shit. And I used to feel bad for him because I thought he was hated by the left and he was hated by the right. But Comey, you've earned this.
Yeah, he screwed up in every way possible, I think.
Then Comey later denied this, but Washington Post even fact-checked him on it. Whatever it is. They do Pinocchio's. They treat the media. Yeah, Washington Post. And they really didn't want to.
They're like, we have to do
that. Was really hard for them. Like, it's a lie, but can we hit... it hurts! It burns! Flynn, by the way, people... And this was my primary question early on.
Big.
And I asked Donald Trump Jr. when we were doing the CNN stream, because at this point we didn't have all of the information.
Right.
I said, okay, if he is innocent, why did the guy plead guilty? And you know this probably, people don't always plead guilty because they're guilty.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the entire system is set up to be an adversarial system.
Right.
So the prosecutors are literally, their job is to be aggressive in doing what they're doing to achieve the end, right?
Right.
And then by the same point, defense attorneys have to do the same thing. And when you're, I don't do criminal law, but when the same thing applies both civil and criminal. If you are trying to get to an end and there's going to be a worse harm than pleading guilty, people plead guilty all the time, even if they hadn't done that particular act that they're accused of, or maybe they did something related but not as gross of a violation of that.
Like they did leave the ironing on and they don't want to pay the piper. Sure. So Flint, maybe they left the iron on,
but someone else was smoking in bed, right? I mean, you could be like, I did, but that wasn't actually what led. But fine,
or eating in bed.
Say I did.
And that's how they took out the mamas and the papas. It's a tragedy.
Oh my God!
Too soon and too heavy.
Not again.
So Flynn did plead. Would we say that's severe in that they threatened to go after Flynn's son? Because that's why he pled guilty.
Yeah,
so they wouldn't prosecute his son. Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, and early onset dementia example, has said repeatedly that he knew nothing about the Flynn investigation.
So what did you know about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, and was there anything improper done?
I know nothing about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, number one. Number two, this is all about diversion. I was aware that they asked for an investigation, but that's all I know about it, and I don't think anything else.
By the way, there's no follow-up. He just said, I don't think anything else.
Ever.
He's like, please end the interview. That's all I have
I'm
to
not
say.
capable.
I don't have anything.
His handler's like,
I thought
no
this
more
was
words.
going to be a one-question interview, and I would like to think something else, but I can't think anything else.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there because they kind of just joke for the rest of the time. Basically, what it's showing there is, like I said, you don't just find a suspect and then search for a crime. You find a crime and then pin it to a suspect and take it through the system. Completely backwards. Let's see here. All right, we're on Biden, right? They just ended off with Biden. I'm going to show you this one. All right, if you guys, I know a lot of my audience are conservatives. That's cool. But I also know that a lot of us conservatives are totally fine with hearing the other side, more progressive or liberal points of view. If you guys don't know Jimmy Dore, you've got to start following Jimmy Dore. I love this guy. I don't like his solutions. Again, it's the progressive Bernie Sanders style solutions. I don't agree with them. But there's no one who has as sharp of tongue as Jimmy Dore, and he hates the corruption on the Republican and the Democrat side. He's very good. Here, he just unloads on Joe Biden for being just a clear racist.
He
it's
famously
amazing.
said, if you don't vote for, if you're having trouble deciding about voting for me or Trump, you ain't black. He also said the NAACP's endorsed him and all this stuff. He's lied about all of it. He said the crime bill didn't increase incarceration. He lied about it. He still defends the crime bill. All that stuff he did in that. He's a sociopathic liar, Joe Biden.
Wow.
Sociopathic liar. Sociopath. That's not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. That's why that term was invented. Sociopathic. It's for him. Here he is talking about those people. You tell me who he means when here he is talking about putting them in prison, those people. And who's he mean? Let's listen.
Must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
Doesn't matter if they're the victims of society. Let's just lock them up. Let's not give them education or health care. Let's lock up their fathers and their uncles and their brothers and say, let's lock them up and then lock them up too. Doesn't matter if they're a victim of racism, institutional, doesn't matter. Lock them up. Here's what he says.
The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
Now, this is called demonizing the other. That's what this is. So there's a class of people out there that are animals and they're violent. And it doesn't matter that our country has institutional racism and treated them poorly and they are victims themselves. It doesn't matter. I don't care about them. I want them in prisons. I want them locked up in cages.
I want to ask, what made them do this? They must be taken off the street. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
Beyond the pale. Which is ironic because that's what Kyle Kalinske says about Joe Biden. Can't vote for a Democrat anymore for president because he's beyond the pale. Can't vote for Joe Biden, he's beyond the pale. And now that's what he's saying about citizens who he even admitted we created. Doesn't matter if we created them, now they're monsters. And they're beyond the pale. Did any of those people ever torture someone, Joe? Because you did. Did any of those people that are beyond the pale kick desperate people out of their house in the middle of a recession created by Wall Street and your deregulation? Ooh. No? None of those people did, but you did. Mm-hmm. Did any of those people build cages to put immigrants in? Because you did.
Oh, yes.
Now who's the animal? Who's beyond the pale? It's Joe Biden.
the pale. We have an obligation.
Best argument for term limits ever, right there.
To cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families.
America is the world's largest penal colony, and there he is screaming for more incarceration and engineering it. And who does he mean by them? They need to be cordoned off. Who is they? I think we all know what he means. Does he mean people in the suburbs? Oh, no. Does he mean people in Bel Air or South Pasadena? No. Does he mean people in Beverly Hills or Brentwood? Who are they? And then here Biden's history of controversial racial comments.
Yes.
Well, this one, I know he's going to. This one is the one about the 7-Eleven owners. So let's watch this.
Manish, how you been? Well, good to see you. As you know, I got a lot of support from you, Cindy.
That's where, and more to come, I think.
Yeah, so. No, I've had a great relationship. Right. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. So I'm not joking. Oh, gigantic. Excited for you.
That's.
Just wait, it gets better.
I think that is the least of his troubles. Put it that way.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Way to talk to the people at the Asian and Latino Coalition PAC, Joe. Way to know your audience. Way to know your audience.
So that's what he means.
What a disconnected, unrelatable, bourgeois, terrible man.
When he says they. That's how you know when he says they and them and cordon them off and we created them, but they gotta be in jail. Away from us. I don't care. I think, wow. While discussing the need for criminal justice reform at a luncheon last year, Biden said people must continue to work to recognize black as equals so that African-American mothers, like the mother of Trayvon Martin, who was shot by a neighborhood watch volunteer. No, he wasn't. He was not a neighborhood watch volunteer. He was just some jagoff with a gun. No longer have to fear their sons will be shot when they go outside. Wow. Here he is.
I recognize that kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. Ladies and gentlemen, there are too many black men, and I might add women, in prison.
And how did they get there, Joe? Did I just see a speech of you going, you gotta be in prison? That was quite a moment in that, wasn't it? But they gotta be in prison.
It comforted you, didn't it? That you knew they were going to be behind those bars.
Right? We got too many. He says we got too many.
All right, I'm going to pause that one there because he just keeps tearing into Joe Biden. And you know what? We don't need to. We already know how terrible of a person he is. I want to show you this one. This one is for all of my, well, for everybody really, but check this one out. A lot of people on the left, or liberals or progressives, they look at conservatives and they say, oh, you guys are, you're towing the party line, you would never, blah, 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 all that. To my moderate, my Democrat, my progressive, my radical leftist viewers, friends, potential voters, this is not Democrat versus Republican. In the year 2020, as I sit here telling you this right now, This election is about people who hate America. They don't care about America. They don't care about the people. They don't care about people really at all. They want to suck the resources dry. They want to put you in as much debt as possible. They want to censor any disagreeing opinions on the internet. They, just like Joe Biden, throw you in jail for anything, take as much lobbyist money as possible, set up bigger administrative states so they can continue to overwhelm the system and continue funneling money out of taxpayer funds overseas banks that they own and they run. Watch this from Tucker Carlson. This is not Democrat versus Republican. Before Trump came along, the Republican Party was being run by John McCain, Paul Ryan, and Mitt Romney. People, in less than about a year, Donald Trump exposed to be all crooks. No intention of being good, conservative, wholesome Americans. Absolutely in on the crookedness. Here's the tweet I put. It says, I've said it a million times. This is not D versus R. This is America versus the world. When Trump came into office, he had an entire Republican Party that knowingly allowed the fake Russia investigation to happen. They had the info to know it was fake and allowed it.
Who trust the government anymore? There's a reason for that. And by the way, it's not just Democrats you should blame. The vast majority of the Russian collusion investigation occurred during the first 2 years of this administration. Who ran the government then? At the time, Republicans controlled both houses of Congress and every single committee by definition. They had the power to expose this hoax and to shut it down, but they did not. It's Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Richard Burr and so many of the other useless Senate Republicans. Total phonies. They didn't really do anything.
Richard Burr, he is calling Don Trump Jr. back.
Senator Burr, who's well respected, he doesn't want to be lied to. He wants to get to the bottom of what happened.
Republican Senator Richard Burr had served the president's son with a subpoena. Can you explain why the Republican would want to do that?
Gowdy disputes Trump's spy claim.
No, I think Gowdy's appearance was disgraceful. According to Gowdy, the FBI ran it by the book, how the Americans would have wanted them to run the investigation. Really? Give me a break.
You said I am even more convinced that the FBI did exactly what Americans would want them to do.
There was no spy. Have you seen any evidence of that?
I have not. I would think you would want the FBI to find out whether or not there was any validity to what those people were saying. The FBI did exactly what my fellow citizens would want them to do.
He says the FBI did exactly what we should want them to do.
The number one question I get asked from Americans is why no one has gone to jail and been held accountable. It was Paul Ryan and Trey Gowdy that wouldn't give us that subpoena power. We didn't send out a single subpoena, not one.
I supported the Mueller investigation because I didn't know. Senator, we're talking about a shredding of constitutional law due process that we would ever have.
You say that Mueller is a good guy, right?
That's been my experience, yes.
And you'll do anything necessary to protect him from being interfered with?
Absolutely.
Well, and it's all Bennett. Where's Director Ray, though? I've got a lot of people yelling at me tonight. He's not doing his job.
And you'll do anything necessary to protect him?
Absolutely.
Somebody that every American should trust. Mr. Mueller.
Bob Mueller was an excellent appointment. He will go wherever the facts lead him. He will have great credibility.
People want you to move on this, Senator. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, but I've told you and I'll tell you again.
Total phonies who tell you they're representing you, but don't. Explain why they didn't really do anything to stop the derailment of America while it was in progress.
That's partially why I love the internet. People can put together these little compilations, and it could not be better. What was that, 2 minutes, 19 seconds? Tell me, does Mitch McConnell, does Lindsey Graham, does Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, do these people really represent the Republican Party that you had thought? Do you remember when the Tea Party came out back in 2009-ish, 2008-ish, and they were having just barnstorm, taking over the entire Republican Party, primarying Rhino Republicans, winning election after election after election. And what happened? That group of corrupt, terrible Republican guys came in and took the whole thing over and said, yeah, we like you, Tea Party. Here, put on this subcommittee. Here, put on this worthless thing. Here, shut you up. And they did not let the Tea Party have any impact. Newsflash, the Tea Party did not go away. We just shoved it down inside of us, and we got even more angry, and we've been waiting for someone like Donald Trump to stand up and look you in the face and say that you're a liar, and we know you're a liar, and put you on blast on the internet. That's what this is about, and you guys are going to see me. In fact, the biggest post I've made by a factor of about 20 times. My average post is, about 1,000 people interact with it. I posted last week and got 33,000 people to interact with it. And I think it was just because I was just straight up telling you the damn truth, that these people don't represent us. They don't. And this is one of the arguments for term limits. You know, over the years, I've always been kind of neutral, and I heard someone tell me one time, Ryan, if you put term limits in, then you're going to term limit out a really good congressman. But I'm sitting here for 3 years watching the Democrat Party and even the Republican Party try to overthrow a duly elected president who has nothing to hide. He'll tell you what's on his mind, and what's on his mind is drain the swamp and put America first. And these guys are exposing themselves that they do not care. So I wanted to show you that one. Okay, next up. You guys are commenting like crazy. Let me read some of these comments. Exactly, says Kathy. Jennifer, got to clean house. Kathy, they're all to blame for compromising. I agree, Kathy. Nicole, Tea Party. Wow, haven't heard that in ages. Yeah, Nicole, I know, but like I said, no, we didn't go away. We did not go away. We're still here. Republicans have to stand up. Amen. Thanks, y'all. Keep spreading the word. Okay.
The CDC has revised their
coronavirus. Is it a scam? Am I allowed to say that? Am I going to get censored off of Facebook for a week because I said that? It sure seems that way. I don't know if you saw, but just about, like 2 days ago or something, the CDC revised their numbers on how deadly this is. And what did the number come out to? Right in line with the seasonal flu. I hate being called a conspiracy theorist, especially when it comes out that you were right. It's not a theory, it's just a fact. Now look, I think you, along with me, were on board with the first lockdown. The first 30 days, there was a lot of weird stuff coming out of China, a lot of weird stuff coming out of Italy. Okay, this looks terrible, we don't have enough data, we'll do it. But now, what was that? That was back in March. March, April, May, we're 3 months in, and we already know that the goalposts have been moved so far that the goalposts are not even in the stadium. They're not even on the playing field anymore. In fact, there are no goalposts because it's just we lock down until we say so. We stay on lockdown until the Democrat Party or the intellectual left tell us that we can all go back to work. Check this out. CDC has just revised their numbers the other day and just released it. Listen to this.
Their mortality rate on COVID-19 from about 3 or 4%-ish, where they were saying it was 10 times what it would be, 10 to 50 times or something more dangerous death rate wise than the influenza. Now they've revised that from 3 or 4% to 0.4% death rate with COVID-19,
which I think is about. I did a show on this, and I think in February, because Trump was getting beat up about him saying, I think it's going to be less than 1%. I think we're going to find out it's going to be less than 1%. And he's getting hammered. Like, no, the World Health Organization says 3.4%. It's like, no, that's not what they said. When you looked at what they said, including all the scientists on this, they all were saying, we're not picking up millions and millions of cases. We don't think it's going to be anywhere near where it is now. But that takes time for it to come down, where you understand how far it's spread.
People can speculate.
That's what happens. It's just a very much unknown factor of a new virus. Like, very much known. Trump was completely right on this. All of his experts were saying it too, by the way. But the media said, no, look at this report from the World Health Organization, who is really just reporting the current rate. We only have discovered, for every 100 cases we've discovered, 3 people are dying, right? Well, there's a lot of cases they're not discovering. It might be 3 out of 1,000. That still would be worse than the flu. Right. But, it's a totally different scenario to prepare for, obviously.
And we probably first got a really good look at that from that Stanford study where they looked into Marin County and how many people had the antibodies as opposed to how many people had the virus and the estimates and all that. And it was 50 to 85 times higher, the number of people who were actually infected, which lowered the mortality rate by, a factor of 10 or 100.
Yeah, and look,
So that's enough. You guys can watch the rest of the clip. It's another 6 minutes. But, okay, I think it's official. We can reopen everything. We can go back to work. We can laugh at the goons who are wearing rubber gloves and a mask while driving their car. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what? The virus is going to come through the AC unit? What are you even... Here's something that's very dishonest that I can't stand. I keep seeing people post about, oh my God, we've had 4 days in a row of new cases, more and more. Yeah, that's because we're testing more. We're testing more. There's literally, this week, Silverstein Eye Arena, Independence Event Center, they have a drive-through 4-day-long free coronavirus testing facility. Of course there's going to be more new cases showing, but it doesn't mean that this thing is killing everyone. Yes, it does seem like it spreads fast, but its mortality rate is so low that we should treat it like the regular seasonal flu, just like we do every year. Keep the old folks away for a while, whatever, the immune-compromised people away for a while. And again, I'm not even a scientist. I'm not a doctor, and I don't claim to be. But in the year 2020, when there's so much fake news, and science is the new religion, and people have blind faith to science, that we're no longer actually trying to find science using the scientific method. We're now just trying to reinforce political ideologies. This is so frustrating. In fact, speaking of it being frustrating, do you guys know what it means to virtue signal? You guys know what that means? Because I asked a very close friend 2 days ago, and she did not know. So let me tell you what it means to virtue signal. Virtue signaling: advocating a political or philosophical position and or taking up a public cause from a position of vanity for the primary purpose of demonstrating your conformity with fashionable pop cultural values. Do you guys know anybody who's virtue signaling on this coronavirus thing? Oh my God, everybody's virtue signaling. It's sick. Like, they're trying to get social media brownie points. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little strange conspiracy theory I've got here. You guys remember that movie Wag the Dog? Wag the Dog was from the 90s. It was absolutely star-studded. And actually, funny enough, it was almost scene for scene, basically what happened with Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky, and the Serbian war, the Kosovo, Serbia, Yugoslavia stuff. The movie Wag the Dog, the president, I think what does he get in trouble for, touching a young little girl or something? I forget. And so his number one assistant goes to Hollywood, gets some producers, and says, hey, we need to fake a battle, a war over in somewhere nowhere, Caucasus, East Europe, West Asia, who cares? We just need to distract the public for a couple months to get, and they get all these heartfelt patriotic songs and and they get all the Hollywood people and the virtue signalers and all of this and the news media, and everyone's covering this fake war without a bullet being fired, and the American public gets fooled for about a month and a half, right up to the election. The president wins the election, boom, they drop all the pretenses. Did China just wag the dog on this virus thing? I specifically remember back in February, I was house sitting for my cousin. Her and her husband and their children were out of town, and I house sat for about a week. And I remember sitting there on Twitter watching videos come out of China, videos of people falling over in the street, hospitals shoulder to shoulder with people out the door, nurses and doctors covered in all this, aprons and masks and gloves, crying, and people being locked in their apartments, and you're watching welders weld them into their apartments, and store shelves absolutely empty, and government military guys with these big fog machines disinfecting the area. And like, did China just wag the dog on America with that virus? It was only like a week or so before, 2 weeks before that they finally buckled and gave in to that trade deal. Plus, they had damn near all of Hong Kong out in the streets protesting for like 9 months straight. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that one, but I'm going to ask you guys to look into that one. You guys can look into that conspiracy for me. Okay, let's see here. We showed you this one. I'm going to show you this amazing rant right here. First, let me read some comments from you guys. Ronnie, I'll keep telling it like it is if you keep liking and commenting and spreading the word. Brandon, right there, I'm with you on term limits, dude. Jennifer says, you have to take vitamins, eat right, exercise, plus get a lot of sunshine. I agree. Let's see, Ronnie, tell me. Yep, I remember this. You know what's tough about this, Ronnie, is that you're like, tell me, and I'm like, tell you what? I don't know what I was saying. Anyway. Okay, I want to show you this. Joe Rogan, yesterday, or maybe a day and a half ago, whatever it was, he had Kevin Hart on his show, and Kevin Hart, this guy is so inspirational. God, his story is so crazy. And he does the things like, don't give up. Keep grinding, have a dream, keep grinding, keep grinding. And he talks about why it is that the black community is getting left behind. Why it is that the black community keeps getting left in poverty. Why is it the black community has such low school education rates? Why is it the black community has such high crime rates? All of this stuff. Check out this little like 7 or 8 minute rant. It's
the best interviews that I've ever done, and from a feedback perspective, with people that just loved what the discussion was, loved the tone of the interview, the things that were said, felt inspired, motivated after. It was just great all around for me. Checked all the boxes.
It was for me too, and I got a bunch of great responses from my friends. That's when I know it's good, when I get friends, and my friends were all like pretty unanimous. They're like, that is a motivational motherfucker.
Wow.
Like, that dude gets shit done. When people hear stuff like you, like someone who's excited about life, excited about doing things, there's something about that it's fuel. It's fuel for we need that. Everyone needs that.
I don't even. This is not a cheesy segue. All right, this just makes sense from what you just said. What you just said is the reason why I did the decision. You said people need that. It's fuel.
Yes.
Right. I feel that in today's time, what people are most selfish with is information. Nobody wants to give information. You got to ask for it. If you ask for it, then all right, maybe I'll tell you some stuff, but it's a search and find.
You mean real good information?
Information about how to get to success. That's the want from everybody across the board on some level.
Right.
Okay, everybody's success is different. This doesn't mean fame and stars. I'm not talking about that level of success for everything. I'm saying whatever your version of success is, to get to it, information from someone that's done it or that's partaken in it in some degree will only add to the value of your journey. It's only going to make it easier. It's not to say that you got to do what they said, but with that information, you're able to process it, maybe use it, maybe not.
Right.
But you got it.
Right.
That's what I wanted to do. I said, I got a life. I got a hell of a life that I've lived, full of ups, downs, potholes, cobblestone, speed bumps, flat road, U-turns, some smack brick walls that I ran into, some revolving doors of back and forth. And through it all, my mental has only gotten better, because I feel like I've been in the mental gym, the mental fitness that coincides with life. It should get better. You should get wiser. You should get smarter. You should be able to make better decisions. And all of my decisions came from the massive amount of fuck-ups. And I can now share those fuck-ups. I can now share the rights and the wrongs and the way that I handle all of the things that I've done. And people can just take that information and go, wow, I never looked at it like that.
Well, it gives them a better view of the landscape.
Yeah.
Especially when someone like you almost seem like an unattainable person. Like, how does he do that? How is he doing that? How does this guy go from Philadelphia to be one of the biggest movie stars in the world? How does he become one of the biggest stand-up comedy stars ever? How the fuck do you do that? You almost seem like an alien, to people on the outside. But then when they hear you talk about your real life and talk about these fuck-ups, and talk about these successes and talk about the lessons that you've learned, man, that's fuel for folks in a way that nothing else is, because there's a lot of people that are bullshitting online. There's a lot of these motivational speakers that haven't done shit. And it's a weird thing. It's like they're trying to give you motivation by like sort of reciting things that they think are going to work.
That they think you want to hear.
But they haven't done anything. But someone who's done something, when you say it, people are going to listen. They're going to go, oh, and you're so honest about everything, which is that's everything to people, because when you're pure, when your words are pure, people take them right in. They come right in. There's no like, oh, this guy's kind of fucking selling me something. Oh, this guy's kind of full of shit. Yeah, exactly.
I got nothing to sell. I had a talk with Chase, like JP Morgan Chase are partners of mine, and we were doing this. We're doing this thing called Advancing Black Pathways, right? Where we're trying to cure financial literacy in the black community. We're on like year number 2 right now, right? And there was a conversation where, they wanted to have said bankers go and talk to the kids in the inner city. And I was like, you can't send a white man that works for JP Morgan Chase to the inner city of said community, hood, whatever, to talk to these young black kids that has no idea about the life that the black kids are living. I said, what you need is people that have actually come from these environments. They have made it out of the environments and now understand how money works. Because now when I talk to you, I'm not talking to you with hypotheticals, and I'm not preaching to you about what you should do and what you got to do. I said, I'm telling you what I did that didn't work. I'm telling you how I fucked off money, and I'm telling you what I didn't know. Hey, guys, here's a fact. There is no education that comes with money in the black communities. It doesn't. You can go search for it. There isn't one. It does not exist. There is no one that is outright teaching the kids in a black community how to operate financially, how to set up for your future. There is nobody talking to you about ownership, homes, mortgages, investments, stocks. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's not until you get out of that environment that you meet some people that are planning their life accordingly that you start to ask questions. It's not till maybe college and on the later side of it that you're with people that are getting jobs in the future that you start to do it. There is no prep or education at a young age. I said, so you need a fucking man that can go there and go, hey man, let me tell you why y'all gotta stop taking these free credit cards. Let me tell you why you gotta stop putting a cable in somebody else's name and continuing to fuck it up. Let me tell you why you gotta stop being okay with not having a bank account. Let me tell you why you gotta stop using the check cash places. There's nobody giving that information. I said, that's what I am. So if we're gonna have a relationship, let's build it off of something authentic. Let's build it off of something that people can go, I get that. Since then, to go back to your point, my relationship has been based on me telling the truth. I told JP Morgan Chase, I want to go to the inner city and I want to have these discussions, but let me have them my way. I don't want to have it in a JP Morgan Chase way. And I got to credit them for backing me because they align me with other people that share the same stories, that have achieved certain levels of success, that speak to the same thing. So everything that I've done, everything that I'm trying to do, when I do talk about it, I come proven. I'm only talking.
People ask me, I don't know, top two or three questions I get. Ryan, Emmanuel Cleaver is a black man and he has the black vote across the entire district. What are you going to do? Because it's an open secret that he has that locked down, and until you can change the minds of the black community, you are not going to win. What are you going to do? And I tell him exactly what Kevin Hart just said. I'm going to tell him the truth. Now, it's going to be a little more difficult than Kevin Hart because he's talking about just being financially wise and how money works and all of that. But it goes right into everything. It goes into, look at your education system. Tell them the truth. Look at the poverty in your communities. Tell them the truth. Look at the crime in your communities. Tell them the truth. Look at it as soon as anyone makes it. They get the hell out and they do not turn around and they do not give, like he says, they don't share any information on how to get out. They're getting out so fast that they forget the ghetto ever existed. Tell them the truth. The Democrat Party, what it is today, what it was back 50 years ago, what it was 100 years ago. Tell them the truth. Emmanuel Cleaver's track record, Emmanuel Cleaver being an absolute crook. Tell them the truth. They're not any different than us, you, me, whoever's watching in that camera right now. They're not any different than you, the black community of Kansas City. They have a bullshit detector. They know when people come in and they're tie up nice and, well, I just want to tell you how the land of the free and the home of the brave, and the Star Spangled Banner and I would sure appreciate your vote. No, they want you to tell them the truth. Quit bullshitting with them. Look, you guys, here's the deal. Your neighborhoods are falling apart. There's trash everywhere. You have 15,000 abandoned homes filled with drug dealers, homeless people, and prostitutes. You have schools. Half of them are shut down. The other half are damn near empty because kids keep dropping out. You've got a 750 kid wait list where you need a lottery to get into these charter magnet schools. You have no good jobs. They're just hourly, low education, low energy, low wage jobs. You have Emmanuel Cleaver who keeps voting to import in illegals by the wholesale to take those jobs that you get. And now you have crime and drugs throughout the way. We had 7 murders in one night and like 2 triple homicides over the weekend. And Emmanuel Cleaver, Sly James, Mayor Quentin Lucas, all of these leaders of Kansas City go, oh, I don't know. Tell them the truth. That's what I'm going to do. There's nothing more I can do. This Kevin conversation is a 2 hours and 1 minute. It's a killer episode. If you guys want to get really inspired, you can hear. I tell you to listen to it. Okay, I think I have one more. Yeah, I've got one more for you. And the sun's kind of going down. I can tell it's getting kind of dark. You guys, let me see if you got any comments here before I go to this last one. Love him. Build up. If you Ronnie says, if you want it, it's available. I came from the ghetto in New York City, from the Bronx. Yep, that's true, Ronnie. And you know what else that we have now that you didn't have back when you were in the ghetto of New York City? You have a smartphone with the internet. I don't see any broke-ass homeless person, poor person, whatever. Nobody that doesn't have a smartphone. Cricket Wireless down the street sells them for $15. This thing has everything you would want to ever know. It's the age of information. Anyway, thanks for your comments, Ronnie. All right, last video I'm going to play for you guys here. Okay, I have gotten so many private messages on this new piece of legislation, House Resolution 6666, and let me just type this in. Well, actually, let's look at the bill real quick. Okay, you guys kept sending this to me, and I haven't ignored you guys. I've just been like, I'm not sure. I need to look and see. Okay, surprisingly, Cleaver did not sign on to this. Let's have a look here. This bill authorizes the CDC to award grants, testing, contract tracing, monitoring, and other activities to address coronavirus. You guys have been sending me this stuff like crazy. I have not been ignoring you. I just didn't know enough to really give you any thoughtful reply. When I'm elected, if this bill is still up for a vote, I will not only not vote for it, I will shout from the rafters. I will gladly filibuster this. Check this out. This is not a good bill.
6666. Yes, you can't make this stuff up. It is a new bill that's been introduced in Congress. It essentially gives $100 billion to creating a massive new surveillance structure in this country.
We'll isolate every one of them, and we will find every one of their contacts, and we will make sure that they stay quarantined.
Now, some people are saying this means forced vaccinations. Others are saying it means being quarantined in your home against your will. So what exactly is in this bill? And
here's the thing, the bill is vague enough that these people have a very valid argument.
What will it lead to? We're breaking it all down today, right here on Truth in Media.
Come on.
You can't even say that without shaking your head. Were all the other numbers taken, really, in Congress? There's no other number you could have used? So H.R. 6666 is essentially a new bill that's been introduced in Congress. And what it would do is create a contact tracing program. They're calling it the Trace Act. Now, the wording in this act is actually very short, and it's kind of to the point, but it leaves a lot of room not only for interpretation, but for expansion. And even what it does include in what's written in the text is pretty scary stuff. So let's just take a look at what it says. To authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities, such as contact tracing through mobile health units and as necessary at individuals' residences and for other purposes. Now, when you read this bill, it essentially sounds like $100 billion is going to be awarded to HHS, to be passed down through the CDC, and then to be awarded to community groups to essentially carry out what's called contact tracing. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, acting through the Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, may award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19, to trace and monitor the contacts of infected individuals, and to support the quarantine of those contacts through mobile health units, and as necessary, testing individuals and providing individuals with services related to testing and quarantine at their residences. So here's how contact tracing would work. If you go out, let's say, to the grocery store, or you happen to go to work at a hair salon, and someone in that building has COVID-19, you have now come in contact with them in some way because you've been near them. And so you might now carry the virus. That's the thinking here. So how would you do this? Well, as we've been telling you, Apple and Google are working together on a contact tracing app. Essentially, that app would work between both devices. And right now, again, I emphasize the right now, Apple and Google are saying that this is a completely opt-in system, meaning that when you have that phone in your hand, you would download the app, you would then take the app, you would turn it on, you would turn on your Bluetooth, and then using Bluetooth, it would pick up anyone else who has this app on their phone. And if you now come in contact with someone who later determines to have COVID-19, the app will tell you, hey, you came in contact with this person. Well, in theory, that app is also telling government agencies or nonprofit agencies or medical agencies that you also had contact with this person at some point in the past 2 weeks. So under this theory, your mobile phone, your cellular phone, is being used to essentially track your movements as well as the people around you, and then determine whether or not you are now a danger to the public because you came in contact with this person. Now, one of the problems with this whole theory, I just want to break this down for a second. One of the problems with this whole theory is that contact tracing at this stage in a pandemic or a virus being loose in society, I don't like using the term pandemic because I think it's so politically charged, but when there's a virus in society, the only time you would actually medically use contact tracing would be in the very, very early stages. We're talking about, for instance, in South Korea, when the virus first went into South Korea. It was carried by a woman who was in China. She went into South Korea. She went to this massive church that they have in South Korea of like 200,000 members, and she came in contact with members at that church. So contact tracing might be used to say, okay, she went into this church. She connected with all these people in this particular location who all went back to their communities. Contact tracing could be used to say, let's determine whether or not that woman came in contact with how many people and where they went in order to figure out where the virus is now going. That's what you would do in the early stages if you believed in this science. However, at the stage that we're at in the United States, contact tracing is completely useless because we have, number one, a massive amount of the population that's already been exposed to the disease. Because we don't do testing and instead we're trying to do tracing, we don't even know how many people have the disease. That's first. Second of all, it also doesn't make sense because we know that people in pretty much every state have had some form of exposure to the virus. And what we have found through the few tests that have been done on this, the few bits of data that we've collected from the study that was done at USC or the doctors in Bakersfield, California, what we know is that a larger portion of the population has antibodies already in their system than we had thought. So once people in the population have antibodies in their system, contact tracing is pointless. Because if I go into a Walmart and I already have antibodies in my system and I'm around somebody who has COVID-19, it's very unlikely that I'm going to contract COVID-19 from them. Under contact tracing, you would need to follow me around, monitor my movements, where I am, who I'm in contact with, what I'm doing. You would monitor all those things, but not if I have antibodies in my system.
And so that right there is the reason this is absolute malarkey. To quote Joe Biden on his No Malarkey tour, this bill is so clearly another power grab to pin and trace and remove any privacy from every citizen as much as possible. Yes, it's a virus. We just watched a clip a few minutes ago where the CDC over the weekend said that this virus is no more dangerous than the common seasonal flu. So if that's the case, why do we need to do contact tracing? And as soon as they start it up, tell me one government program that has started and not stopped, or that has been started and then has stopped. It will never stop. It will be around forever. So here in like 3 months, when this virus goes away, I mean, practically it almost already is. We're already on a huge downward trend for all of these. So let's just say the legislation's passed today. 3 months from now, they say, okay, well, it's over with. Yeah, but you know, we could also really use it for this. We could protect the children. You know what else we could do? We could watch out for terrorists. But they already have 330 million Americans locked in on this new contact tracing thing. Yeah, you guys were right. You guys were right to be concerned. You guys were right to continue sending me this HR, this House Bill 6666. $100 billion is what they asked for in that legislation. And you know what? Why not? At this point, what is money? What's a few extra zeros, right? 100 billion? And that's what frustrates me so much about the federal government, is that they know that you and I aren't watching. And I'm telling you, I know this for a fact, they're up there and they're saying like, why ask for 50 billion when we could ask for 100? Why ask for 100 billion when we could ask for 500 billion? That's how it goes, because literally it is just numbers. When was the last time a budget was actually debated and fought and trimmed? When was the last time a debt ceiling wasn't raised? When was the last time anyone said, no, the Fed, the Treasury Secretary, the Speaker of the House, any leadership at all, I know Trump did this a couple of times. No, too much spending, inappropriate, not going to happen. So anyway, you guys, I wanted to show you that video because you guys have continued to bring that up and send it to me. And so now I see why you kept sending that to me. Let me see here. I think that's really all I got for you guys. Let me make sure though. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you that guy. Oh, this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. And then I'm going to bid you adieu and cut the stream. Okay, James Woods tweets this the other day. I had seen this, but I forgot all about it. Listen to this guy. First off, James Woods says, this veteran brings up a point that resonates even more powerfully on this hallowed Memorial Day weekend. Americans are devastated by the heartbreaking sacrifices of our brave warriors. These endless wars must end unless absolute necessary.
He really supports veterans. I'm an Air Force veteran myself, so I really respect that because no other president's really been actually sticking their neck out for us, and I really appreciate what he's been doing for the VA. And he's trying to keep us out of wars. You know, a lot of the things I thought he was going to do, like I thought he was going to get us into war with North Korea. That didn't happen. I thought he was going to get us into war with Iran. That absolutely didn't happen. And he's a real strategic genius, and I really mess with the dude. He's dope.
Are you going to vote for the president in 2020? It appears so.
Question. That's not even. There's no question. That's why I'm here. I'm absolutely going to vote for him.
I'm Spanish, and I'm going to vote for him again. Yes, he's going to be our president 2020.
I love it.
Yes. He really supports.
CNN hates this video. It's like that funny meme of ads that you see on the internet. Doctors do not want you to know this secret. CNN does not want you to see this clip. A Spanish woman and a black man who are both loving Donald Trump. And he's right. For 3 years, they've been trying to convince you. He's about to get us in a war with Russia. He's about to get us in a war with North Korea. He's about to get us in a war with China. Remember when he was about to get us into a war with Venezuela? He's about to get us into a war with Iran. He's about to get us in a war with, I don't know, Tasmania. You name it, he's about to get us into a war, and it's not happening. President Trump continues to say, lead with show of force, but you know, nothing unnecessary force is going to get us into a war. When they punch us, we punch back, but we don't go warmongering. We don't go nation building. He doesn't like all of this stuff. How many times has President Trump in the last 3 years tried to end the war in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and like clockwork, the week he puts it out there, oh my God, there was a terrorist attack. We can't leave now for at least 2 years. Oh my God, there's a gas attack. You know those gas attacks going on in Syria, both of them back in 2017 and then again in late 2017, early 2018, both of those were proven to be false. Absolutely crazy. So I want to show this to you guys. One, because I really like how that guy puts it, that the media has tried to convince you for 3 years that we were supposed to be going to war with any country that the media could latch onto, but also that Black America is waking up. If you guys aren't paying attention on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, search them out. There's what's the hashtag that I watch a lot? There's this hashtag that I follow. It is Black Voices for Trump. That's one of them. Blacks for Trump. That's another one. What's the other one? Oh, I guess I don't have it on this post. But I'm telling you guys, go look at this. There are black men and women across the country, old, young, poor, rich. They're all over the place, and they're waking up to this lie. It's amazing to see. I'm going to read a few last comments. You guys, feel free to comment right now if you want to ask any questions. Totally open format. Throw them out there. I'm going to answer whatever you throw out there right now. Jennifer, you say Gates founded. Yeah, Bill Gates keeps popping up everywhere. It really is weird. Bill Gates, I try not to get on the Bill Gates conspiracy, but Bill Gates keeps showing up everywhere before this virus. He keeps showing up over during this virus, and it really feels like he is positioning himself to completely control what happens after this virus. So yeah. And then you say, I am so worried about schools starting up. I have a 5-year-old starting school, and the thought of a 5-year-old wearing a mask gives me anxiety. When can kids be kids? Jennifer, if you have a 5-year-old, you probably saw that, what was it, CDC? Was it the CDC that had that back to school recommendation? Oh my gosh, I've got to see if I can't pull this up, you guys. CDC back to school. Let's just see what comes up. News. Oh, okay. Forbes says everyone needs to stop freaking out about the CDC school reopening. Let's see. Okay, go figure. They don't even link it. They tell you not to freak out, but they don't actually show you the guidelines. Anyway, I apologize. I'm not going to make you guys wait for so long for me to find it, but it is very strange. And Jennifer, I think you've got every right to. And you know what, Jennifer? If you can swing it, it might be time to start homeschooling. God, has there never been a better example for homeschooling than the last few months? I'm going to try this last one and see if it shows. Here we go. Okay, so according to the CDC, encourage staff and kids to stay home if they're sick. Okay. Enforce good hygiene. Okay. Support mask wearing among older kids and staff members. Oh, okay. Clean high-touch surfaces at least daily. Okay. Modify room layouts by spacing desks 6 feet apart and keeping all kids facing the same direction. I suppose. Install partitions in places where keeping 6-foot distance is difficult. Okay. Close cafeterias and playgrounds or stagger their use and disinfect it in between uses. How do you, okay. Have kids bring their own food, try to keep the same small kids, stagger drop off and pick up time. There was more to this. But I can't find it. I apologize. Anyhow. All right, let me see if you guys had any last Q&A type questions for me here, and then I'm going to log off. So let's see here. Yeah, Jennifer, it is nuts. Okay, yeah, that's all I got for you guys right now. You guys, look, I appreciate you watching. It's been, I don't know, what, like an hour and a half or something? However long. I need your help. I need you to vote for me in August 4th. Make sure you're registered to vote. Secondly, please invest $20 at least in this campaign. This is just you and me talking right here. We have a chance right now. I can't share it with you, but we have a treasure trove of data right now that is showing that this race is not lost. This race is so close, you wouldn't believe it. We have it on good information that Emmanuel Cleaver is losing sleep at night. Let's put it that way. I need you to invest $20. Go to RyanDerks.com, at the donate button, send $20. You can even use PayPal. If you don't like doing the digital thing, that's fine. Mail a check. It's right there at the same button. RyanDerks.com. There's a big button that says donate. I need you to invest at least $20. Okay, everybody. That's all I got for you. Keep in touch. Oh, don't forget, $20.20 or just $20, whatever. I'll bring a yard sign to your house and I'll put it in your front yard. Okay, everyone. That's all I got for you. Keep in touch. Keep messaging me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you like. Sign up for my email. That's all. Thanks a bunch. Take care.